Hi, guys. Welcome to The Human and the Machine, where we talk to the teams developing some of the hottest and newest services in the DeFi space around the world. With me is Hikaru, aka The Machine, a crypto junkie with a golden brain.
And here we have Tlawi or T. He's just an average guy trying to learn the complex world of crypto.
Just trying. Anyway, so today we are talking with the CEO and co founder of Refinable, Nick Chen. Nick, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, doing well. Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited to tell you guys more about the project in the NFT space and what we're trying to do. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So we have not a lot of time. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay. So please, first of all, how are you today and where are you in the world?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm currently based in Hong Kong. So most of our team is based in Hong Kong as well as distributed all across Europe.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And let's just go straight into the matter. In the simplest possible terms, talking to a guy like me, just a human, what is Refinable?
Yeah, so Refinable is essentially an NFT marketplace, and the core difference is that we're built on Binance Smart Chain. So the pitch goes that everyone wants to get into NFTs. There's crypto people looking to get in, and also regular people as well. The speculative prices have really drawn a lot of attention, and so one of the reasons why we want to build on Binance Smart Chain is that a lot of the other NFT marketplaces right now are way too expensive, and it costs you over $100 or so just to execute any actions, which is kind of crazy. Right? People need to go explore and experiment with NFTs, and we just think this is an immediate problem that we want to address with an immediate solution. And so by partnering with Binance Smart Chain, we're able to offer a lot more affordable as well as accessible option for people looking to engage in the NFT experience.
Great. So you actually answered my second question, which was, what is the exact value proposition that you're bringing to the table?
Mhm.
Beautiful. Any questions, Mr. Machine?
Yeah, I mean, Binance Smart Chain, definitely high performance. How would you compare Refinable to other platforms that are building on, say, different chains, and what's your main value proposition?
Yeah, so I think the main value proposition is definitely the affordability and the accessibility of the Binance Smart Chain. It's definitely a new ecosystem right now. I think Binance is putting a lot of effort into building that community. And from what we've seen, I got involved in the crypto community in 2015. So you kind of see how different communities come and go, especially different blockchain projects. And because Binance is heavily supported, I think it has a pretty good chance of staying. And because it offers slight different nuances in the Ethereum ecosystem as well, and because it's also EVM compatible, we do think it has a very high rate for it to continue on.
Wonderful. How long have you been developing Refinable for?
Yeah, so it's still a pretty new project. So we came up with the idea and we decided to actually execute on it early in January. So in January, we basically were able to develop our own POC. And so all the smart contracts have been working since then. And so now it's really about building the user interface and the user experience that makes sense for all the users that we want to bring in.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty amazing. So how big is your team?
Yep. So right now, I would say we're around 10 people distributed across, Asia and as well as in Europe. And so we've been growing quite a lot in the last 2 months, and it's been very exciting.
Great, great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It must take a really big team to build a platform like this. With a Refinable, it's really more like an NFT ecosystem, but can you kind of describe the different features and functions that you can do?
Yeah, so on Refinable, we really have four main verticals. We do want to be a content agnostic place and to the all-in-one definitive hub for the NFT experience on Binance Smart Chain. So what does that actually mean? So we have four main verticals that we do think we want to support. So it really starts with the creation of NFTs. We want to have people be able to discover different NFTs that they like, as well as trade different NFTs. So the final vertical that we have, we call leverage, which is really about once you own an NFT, what can you really do with it? Right? So there's different aspects that we do want to focus on in the later parts. So this could be collateralized loans. You can lend your NFT to another person, perhaps an in-game item that is very, very rare. So you can kind of monetize and extract value from NFT that you currently have. At least in the short term, we do want to focus on the first three parts, which is really on the creation, the trading, and the discovery aspect of these NFTs. And so because there are no other NFT platforms on BSC right now, we do think there's a huge market and a huge opportunity to give accessibility for a lot of our users to, interact with the NFTs on a more accessible platform.
By no doubt, the NFT market is huge, right? And when you talk about the content, there's so many different types, like music to digital art to, even yourself if you want to. So what kind of content do you see is most popular now on Refinable? And what do you personally want to see grow in popularity?
Yeah, that's a great question. It kind of talks into the what I think the potential of NFTs are. Of course, I think NFTs, the lowest hanging fruit has always been digital art, right? So you can have different collectibles, you can tokenize different art and sell it as an NFT. However, I think that's definitely the lowest tier. I think if you kind of extrapolate higher, there's a more complex media and more complex utility that you can get from, say, recording music, right? Or recording songs. I think there's different elements of membership benefits and community benefits. So anything that deals with loyalty or different community aspects or membership, I think is a really cool aspect. And we also see other applications of NFTs and sort of instead of a medium of transaction, they leverage it as a component of their creation. So NFT projects like async art, I think, do a really cool thing where if you hold multiple aspects of the same NFTs, you actually get different versions of the art that it creates. So I do think we're super early in this NFT experience, and we do want people to go out and explore and try out new things with this NFT use case. But just that the NFT marketplaces right now are just incredibly prohibitive for anyone trying to test it out. So we do think this is an immediate solution that we want to provide to help people figure out what's next.
That sounds really good. I like the part that is you guys are going to make it affordable for most people because it is expensive. Uh, but okay, let's say the hurdle of the price is gone now with Refinable. How long do you think it's going to take? What's your prediction? So, how long will it take for the average person, Mr. T like me, right, to say, "Hey, I want to NFT these and these and these and that." It's just part of that's on not daily life, but regular thing I do every now and then.
Yeah, so if you're talking about the roadmap of how to onboard the NFT experience for all users, I think number one is really we have to simplify the understanding of NFTs to the regular user. So I think right now people are always thinking about NFT as this like very cool item that it's kind of people don't understand. But I think the best way to describe it to people is it's all of this is a unique identification system for any object in the world that you want to attach it to. It's just a unique ID system. And so if you think about this, you can attach an ID to basically any item in the world. If you go on eBay, if you go on Carousel, if you go on any of these e-commerce platforms, right now you're just selling physical items with no ID identification on it. So imagine if you can have this second layer of identification and authenticity, and you can verify that this lamp is actually bought from IKEA, then maybe your experience on transacting some of these goods would be easier. So I do think it would take maybe a year or two to kind of educate people in terms of what NFT actually is and how that affects digital transactions and even online e-commerce. And then once that understanding is done, I think it will take maybe another year or two to kind of get the first movers in. I think, of course, right now we're really starting with the digital art market because I think that's really hot. It's the lowest hanging fruit and it makes the most sense. But later on, we do anticipate our platform to be very content agnostic. So we do want other people to be transacting with digital files, utility files. We want to transact in, say, membership benefits or even recording, music recordings or anything like that that can extrapolate much further in.
Exactly. And when you talk about the possibilities, that's really exciting, right? Even I was reading the news, Jack Dorsey made his first NFT, first tweet into an NFT, sold it for like $2.9 million. It's starting to get pretty crazy, but what example or NFT do you think would be really interesting to see on Refinable that you haven't seen yet?
Yeah, so I've actually been talking to a couple of friends who work in the recording or the music industry, and I do think there's a lot of potential going on there. Because at the end of the day, NFTs it's really hard to do price discovery for NFTs because everything is unique. How do you price something, right? And so the value of an NFT is really based on the community. You have to have a strong community that believes in that one thing in order to price it in an effective way, right? And so if you talk about it that way, NFTs only can thrive when you have a good community that supports it. And I think the most valuable NFTs that we're going to see are really NFTs that have strong communities behind them. And so just one step further, what are some things that have strong communities? I think it's really about branded IPs. We're talking about, different influencers or even membership-based items. I think those are all very, very good use cases. And you can definitely see cool things with redemption, NFT redemption or NFT burning or trading and collecting. That is something cool that we have not yet explored yet. So that's sort of an area that I do want to go in. And one step further out is really on the access of digital files with NFTs as a component of their creation. So async art is one good example. If we talk about regenerative art, I think that's also another area that we can go into. So I think the possibilities are honestly endless, and we just want to be a platform that can enable all of these exploration avenues.
Exactly. And some key things I heard is you need a strong community. Absolutely true. And for example, like my buddy T, right? If you wanted to come to your platform and do NFTs, what special perks or incentives would he have versus going to, like, say, other NFT platforms that are out there?
So I think a lot of NFT platforms out there currently actually do a fantastic job, right? They all service a different type of thesis in the NFT space. So for example, OpenSea has amazing auction and general smart contract features. It's an aggregator. You have Super Rare and also Maker's Place, and they're really great curation platforms for NFTs. We have Raribles for a lot of decentralization, and I do think a lot of different platforms have different areas that they want to service. And so our platform has always been about being content agnostic for a lot of our users. And so we are very excited to open the floodgates to let people come in and try and mint different NFTs. And so we do want to support different types of media files, along with any type of custom logic that do want to execute on the smart contract as well. So by offering this level of support, I think the main differentiator is that we are content agnostic from day one, and we have that in mind. And did I also mention we're on BSC, so we're a lot more affordable. So I think those two are definitely some of the organic interests that have already helped us gain organic interest amongst a lot of our community members. So that's been super exciting, and it's a great validation for the work that we've done so far.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So could you tell us a little bit about your partners? Who are you partnering with that makes your project like juicy and people would like to do something with you, to invest in you?
Yeah, so from day one, I think Michael from Box Mining has always been there to support us. Michael's had his background in basically gaming, and so he was always a believer in NFT space. And so when we basically got together and was discussing some ideas, he was a huge proponent for us, and he basically supported us the whole way. He's been an invaluable supporter and advisor to the team. And so aside from that, we've also had a couple of other partners that have worked on other crypto projects and are also like leaders in the NFT space, as well as we've been talking to a couple of different brands. Me being in Hong Kong, having a network here, I think talking to different IPs have always, I think it really piques their interest in terms of what they can do with NFTs. There's still a sort of air of mysticism around NFTs, and we just kind of want to demystify this and let them know that it's not anything too special, right? And so we also do have a partnership with a Korean company, a Korean listco, TuniPlay. And so they are basically one of our partners in sourcing content as well. So they have access to a lot of different intellectual properties in around Asia. And so we do want to partner with local brands around this area to also expand our community over here.
Excellent. Yeah. And as you grow and expand, right, you're going to have people, of course, who already have the blockchain, crypto background, as well as people who are completely new, traditional gaming companies and so forth. What do you think would be like the most challenging, what's the challenging aspect to convince these people, other than the technical aspect of NFTs?
Yeah, I think I briefly touched upon this in the last question. I think right now there's really an air of mysticism around NFTs. People use big words, blockchain, fungibility, and all these things don't make it easy for my mom to understand what exactly NFTs are. So I think breaking the understanding down is really important. And I don't understand why people, keep wanting to, use these big words to explain a very, very simple concept. So I think that's basically number one, right? Breaking down the understanding so that everyone can understand. So yeah, so that's definitely one of our immediate goals for now.
Starting with NFTs, like non-fungible tokens, and the whole idea of this podcast is like making things easy, right? And NFT alone it's not easy to understand. Non-fungible token, right? So it starts from there. Like people like me, like okay, I'm older, right? And I'm not I've been here not so long in this space, right? So these things really, really take a toll on people trying to understand. And like you say, a lot of people just want to keep it that way, so they keep speaking in very technical terms. I love the way you're speaking about this, because you are making it so easy to understand for most people. So I like that, man. Really good for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think I pay attention to a lot of different podcasts. I follow a lot of influencers in the space. And I think the conversation has always been, they regurgitate the same words and the same use case and digital art and all of that. But I think there's still a lot of speculation in terms of NFTs, because the Beeple sold for what, 60 something million. I think Jack Dorsey's tweet was sold for 2 point something million. I think these are just insane numbers that I don't think is entirely accurate. But it's great because it brings a lot of attention to the space, and we love it, right? And so people want to understand it more, but now no one's really talking about it in a way that makes sense. And so we do want to be one of those platforms that helps people do that, right? We bring it accessible in terms of the affordability, but also in terms of the understanding of what you can actually do.
Beautiful, man.
Exactly. So that being said, right, we have been a very wild year so far. Where do you see this NFT industry going for the rest of this year?
Yeah, that is definitely a good question, and I really do hope that Refinable is in the picture 5 years along the line. So I do think there's going to be a slight understanding and a slight change in the conversation about NFTs, right? Definitely bring it away from the speculation of the art assets that are currently on there. So not as a store of value, but really as a medium of exchange. So I really do think NFT as a whole, the technology that surrounds it, is really good for powering transactions and making sure that things are a little bit more verifiable. I mean, sure, we can make sure your art is verifiable, but what about every item in the world? I think that kind of illustrates the potential of NFTs in the world. So in the next 5 years, I definitely think NFTs will have a bigger impact in terms of powering online transactions in the world. And I'm really happy for Refinable to just be one of the first projects to really push out this message and this sort of mission statement. And hopefully in 5 years' time, Refinable will be as big as anything from Carousel to Etsy to Amazon, all into one.
Let's hope so.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time and education and understanding before people really understand the intrinsic value of these. So, to do all of this, right, of course you need like the oil or like the gas, or you could call it the medium, moving everything within the refinable ecosystem. As a fine holder, right, what can I do with it, and what are the utility behind it?
Yep. So underlying and powering our system is essentially our own native token called the Fine token. So if you're a Fine holder, there's a couple of other aspects to make your experience a little bit better, right? So at the end of the day, we are still an NFT marketplace, or generally we are a marketplace as a whole, right? So if you look at eBay or Carousel, any of these, they do have certain features that sure, it's definitely a decentralized marketplace, but there has to be some aspects of, say, increasing your exposure or spending a little bit more to gain a little bit of a increased priority listing, right? So we do want our token to serve a purpose in that way. So number one, you can definitely fund your transactions with the Fine tokens. I think that's the main use case. The second use case is really you can spend the Fine tokens to really get more exposure for your items that you want to sell or you want to list. The third use case is really on, say, if you hold our Fine tokens, we will actually give you some membership benefits. These membership benefits will really improve your overall experience. For example, you can have a lower commission rate, lower commission fees. You can have increased transaction limits as well. So if you do want to make a livelihood off of, say, a marketplace like Refinable, this will definitely be a really good choice for you to, make your, to help your bottom line increase, right? So the last use case that we have is really, we do think people who hold our tokens are our most valuable users. If they believe in the vision and they believe in what we're about, we do want to give them a voice in terms of our governance and also on a community as well. So on a governance front, it's really about proposing and voting ideas that can reach the development team so that we understand what our most valuable users are looking to get. But also we wanted to give our users the ability to moderate the content on our platform as well. So we do see this as a really big issue, in that for all open-ended marketplace, even something like Reddit, right? They're meant to be very, very decentralized and open source. And so, but you did see earlier this year that they had some issues with monitoring. And so we do believe that there's no way the platform organizer can really moderate the content on the platform, but we want to decentralize this moderation responsibility to our users as well, so that they can help us in maintaining a positive community for a platform.
Understood. So for example, does that mean I'll be able to vote on like certain upgrades or features for the Refinable ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the roadmap. I mean, if we're in a pretty stable place and we can really adopt an agile methodology in terms of what features to build, I think having this voting feature for the different features that we want to build is fantastic.
So tell me, I am the one that doesn't know much. So I want to invest. I want to, well, I don't know. I want to know about your listings. What happens? What do I do?
Yeah, so I think right now we are still working on a couple of items. So we're looking to finalize our token sale, our private sale actually. And so our private sale is essentially 99% done. And so we're just waiting on a couple last items before we close it out. So right now we're pretty busy in setting up our public sale. So we've actually been talking to a couple of different platforms to partner with. And so if you pay attention to our socials, then hopefully we'll be able to release some details about those very, very soon. But hopefully everything will be concluded before the end of April.
Okay. So your channels, could you mention your channels? So our viewers can see them, please.
Yeah, so we have our Twitter, we have our Telegram, we have our Medium. So I believe our Telegram channel is just at Refinable app. I believe that is also the same for our Twitter as well as our Medium. So I'll attach the links below after this call so that our users or any interested users can come and follow and find more information about us.
Beautiful. Okay, so to start wrapping things up, what is something interesting you would like your community to know? Like if you look at them eye to eye, what would you like to tell them?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is just that NFTs are not always related to digital art. I think basically every single article I read is really just about how crazy the art world is with the NFTs. And I think that is the main takeaway that I wanted to know, and that they should really start thinking about other items that can turn into an NFT. And really, NFT is just a system that powers all these transactions, right? There's anything special. And so I think when we start understanding that, I think we'll get to a place where it's a lot more productive for any business person to want to conduct business online.
Beauty.
Great.
Mr. Machine, any other questions?
No, I think Nick's expertise covered pretty much the entire NFT industry in such a short amount of time. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's a great conversation, guys. I mean, let me know if you guys have anything else.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on board again.
Now, like for sure, what we don't want only to talk to new projects, like upcoming projects. What we want to do is, yes, talk with you now, but then we would love to revisit what happens in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year down the line. So whatever happens, we can review it. We can talk about it, discuss it. What was, challenges, mistakes, problems, whatever it is. We just want to keep an open channel, so people know what's happening. And what happens, down the line. Would you be down for that?
Yeah, I think you guys can definitely call me out on my BS. If you spot any, call me out on any hypocrisy. I think keeping me in check is really good.
I didn't, man.
In 3 months, a lot can happen in 3 months, and our team is quite open to different changes. And we must admit that we don't know everything about the NFT space, and we are just here so that we can help the community grow together. And I think that's sort of the approach that we're really adopting.
Good, man. I think the fact that we finished this interview and we have our brains are dry now, like 25 minutes, it really says a lot about the clarity and how well you understand this, how little bullshit you actually talked. I'm sorry, BS. I really like it, man. Thank you very much. You made it sound really clear. Even a guy like me got it all quite understood and digested. Thank you very much, Nick. We hope to hear from you very soon, and very good luck with what you're doing. We love it, and we can't wait to hear from you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I mean, amazing question, guys. I actually really love talking about the subject. So yeah, look forward to being on next time.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye.